What if you could seriously upgrade your sleep and literally wash your brain clean every single night, and do it all with the power of light? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but new research is looking at a wild technology that aims to do exactly that. So how in the world could this work? Let's get into it.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You wake up after tossing and turning, and your brain just feels foggy. It's slow, it's messy. It's not just being tired, it's this feeling of mental clutter, like all your thoughts are stuck in a massive traffic jam. Well, it turns out there's a very real biological reason for that feeling.
That's right. While you're sleeping, your brain is anything but off-duty. It's actually hard at work, performing some critical maintenance. Think of it as running a super efficient deep cleaning cycle, clearing out all the gunk, all the metabolic waste that's built up from a full day of thinking and living. A bad night's sleep? That's like the cleaning crew just deciding not to show up.
And this cleaning crew has an official name, the glymphatic system. The easiest way to think about it is as your brain's own personal dishwasher. It uses a special liquid called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF for short, to literally flow through your brain and wash away toxic proteins and other junk that collects between your brain cells while you're awake.
So how does the brain make this whole cleaning process so incredibly efficient? Well, this is the amazing part. It physically changes its own structure. During deep sleep, the space between your brain cells actually expands by a massive 60%. This is just a brilliant move. It opens up the floodgates, allowing that CSF to rush through and clear out waste way more effectively than it ever could when you're awake.
And this is where it gets really critical. What happens when this system doesn't work so well? Well, the trash starts to pile up. Harmful proteins like amyloid beta, which you've probably heard of in connection with Alzheimer's disease, can start to accumulate. This buildup is now seen as a major potential factor in a whole range of neurodegenerative diseases, which makes supporting our brain's cleaning crew more important than ever.
Okay, so that brings us to a potential solution. And honestly, it sounds a little futuristic. If the brain's natural cleaning system is having a hard time, could we maybe give it a boost from the outside? Well, researchers are now exploring a pretty novel idea that involves, quite literally, shining a light on the problem.
It's called Transcranial Photobiomodulation, or TPBM for short. Yeah, that's a mouthful, I know, but the basic idea is actually pretty straightforward. It's a non-invasive therapy, so no drugs, no surgery, that uses specific wavelengths of near-infrared light applied right to the scalp to gently stimulate your brain cells.
So how does a beam of light give your brain cells a tune-up? It's a fascinating chain reaction. First, that near-infrared light actually passes through your scalp and skull. Then it gets absorbed by the mitochondria inside your brain cells, the tiny power plants in every cell. This light absorption kicks them into high gear, boosting their production of cellular energy, also known as ATP. This energy boost then sets off a cascade of positive effects, like increasing local blood flow and oxygen, which gives the brain more of the resources it needs to work better.
Okay, so the theory sounds incredible. But what about the proof? What does the actual research say? Now, I want to be clear, this field is still in its early stages, but the findings so far offer some really fascinating glimmers of hope.
Scientists have actually tested TPBM on a surprisingly wide range of people. We're talking studies on patients with traumatic brain injuries, people experiencing cognitive decline or dementia, depression, and even Parkinson's. And it's not just for people with health conditions. They've even looked at its effects on healthy athletes. And across the board, a common thread is that many of these early studies are reporting improvements, not just in thinking, but specifically in sleep.
To make this more real, just listen to this. In one case study, a patient with a chronic traumatic brain injury went from being able to concentrate for only about 40 minutes to being able to focus for a full 3 hours. I mean, think about that. That's not just a number on a chart. That's a completely life-changing improvement.
And the results with dementia patients are just as powerful. In one study, people not only started getting about an extra hour of sleep every night after the treatment, but for some, something profound happened. Their recurring nightmares just stopped. This really shows that the benefits can go way beyond just the numbers to improve a person's actual quality of life.
And for anyone thinking, well, maybe this is just a placebo effect, check this out. In a proper controlled study on healthy athletes, the group that got the real TBPM treatment showed a significant improvement in their sleep quality scores. The other group? They got a fake treatment and saw no real change. But here's the kicker. The group that got the real deal also had increased levels of melatonin, the body's natural sleep hormone.
So there's a real physical reason for their better sleep.
So everything we've looked at seems incredibly promising, maybe even a little too good to be true. But, with any cutting-edge science, it is absolutely essential to take a step back and look at the full picture, to be clear about what we know and what we just don't know yet.
So it's really about balancing the promise with the current problems. On one hand, you have a therapy that's non-invasive, has a fantastic safety profile, and could potentially improve not just sleep, but mood, cognition, and that critical brain cleaning process. But on the other hand, and this is a big but, the science is still really young. Many studies are small, they often rely on people just saying their sleep is better, and there isn't one standard way to even do the treatment yet. These are all hurdles that researchers still need to clear. So let's just boil it all down. What are the key things to walk away with? First, sleep is not passive. It's when your brain's essential glymphatic cleaning system gets to work. Second, this thing called TPBM is a new technology that uses light to potentially give that whole system a boost. Third, the early results are pretty exciting for both sleep and brain function. But finally, and this is maybe the most important takeaway, while it's promising, the science is still in its infancy. We absolutely need more big, well-designed studies to know for sure.
Which leaves us with a final, fascinating question to chew on. We are at the very, very beginning of understanding this technology. But you have to wonder, could a helmet of light one day become the future of brain health? Something as common as a cup of coffee for keeping our minds sharp? Or is it just a bright idea that will eventually fade? Honestly, only time and a lot more research will give us the answer.